Welcome back to Wellness for the Hot Mess. I am so excited, as I always am, to have this conversation. We have some juicy topics today, and they're all going to be really relatable in the realm of growth, right? That's what we're here for. We're here to grow. But first, I just want to say hello to my beautiful co-host, Kristin. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm tired today. We talked a little bit today before we hopped on, but I was like, Lex, is there something in the air? Because I feel like you know when something's going on. And I was like, I'm exhausted. And she was like, simple question. Well, where are you in your cycle? And I was like, my
Yeah,
period.
totally.
But I'm good. I'm just tired. I think I'm
Mm.
experiencing like the dog days of summer already in July. Like I just want to be inside. I don't really have FOMO anymore. I think I've kind of moved past that stage in my life. Like I go out, I stand in the sun in the morning, and then past 11 a.m., I just want to be inside doing
Mm.
work, studying, hanging with people, being with friends. But I'm tired. How are
Yeah,
you?
you're using your brain a lot too, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you are putting out a lot of energy into studying. And I think it's really cool. And it's like you're in this new season of life, and it's really beautiful to witness. And I'm sure our listeners as well, our online besties are like stoked watching this season because again, it's all about the cycles and the seasons. I taught a workshop on Sunday here in San Diego, and I was waiting for the like the download to come in as to what was the theme going to be, right? So I have the container of the workshop. It's this somatic breathwork and movement experience, and it was incredible. And but I have a theme and like a topic that I want to speak on. And what came through right before the day before the experience was the cycle of life and death, the cycle of inspiration and non-inspiration, right? The women's body cycle, our seasons, and it all comes down to like knowing ourselves so much that we know the signal that is we are in this season. It is okay. Do not have shame for wanting to be inside if you want to be inside. And so for me, I have had a lot of energy in the beginning of the day, which is new for me. Like usually I love to sleep. I love to sleep in if I can, and
Yeah.
I am also a morning person. If I'm excited or I have something to do, I'm fine. I'm not like dragging myself out of bed, but I love to be in bed. I really do. And no shame to that. But the past probably couple weeks, I've had so much energy. And then I honor that I'm completely tapped out at 8 p.m. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's more so like if I get invited to go out and have drinks, or it is summertime. And so the sun really doesn't go down until 8 p.m. But my body is stoked in the morning and I do a lot. Like sometimes I'll be like, why am I so tired? And my husband will be like, why are you, what do you mean? Why are you so tired? Energizer bunny, you're all over the fucking city.
Mhm.
And I honor that even though it's summer, I want to be in bed watching the newest episode of Love Island before I get up early because I am really excited about life right now, but I also have an off switch.
Yeah, it's an interesting cycle, like moving into a new season where you are doing things in bed at 8:30 versus not being out bouncing around. It's you almost feel a little guilty and a little shame towards it, but I really love what you said about just checking in and seeing where you're at and being okay with where you're at. Like you just asking me if I had my period and then like being okay with being tired. It's so silly how caught up we get on how we think we're supposed to feel. And then you saying like, you're tired. And your husband's like, well, you're bouncing around like a crackhead. And sometimes we feel like we're not doing anything. And it's like, it's really interesting. It's a crazy
Yeah.
cycle. And it kind of brings us to today's topic of transitioning and journeying through new phases in life, specifically transitioning and journeying or growing from old or negative energy to new or positive energy, however you want to look at it. I
Mhm.
know personally, this topic is something I can really relate to in terms of moving away from stagnant negative energy towards something that feels a little lighter and a little more aligned to me right now. And one reason I wanted to talk about this today was kind of what I just mentioned, the guilt and the shame that I hold with past versions of myself. And this is like
Mm.
big breakthrough in therapy for me right now, inviting past versions of myself to like sit down to a conversation because I always felt super attached to past versions of myself. So, a little backstory of where this inspiration came from. I had a ginormous breakthrough in therapy recently, and I had held a lot of, and this is a real vulnerable moment for me to share, but I had held a lot of shame and guilt around the version of myself I was in a relationship that I was in with someone for a really long time. This was my first like big girl relationship. I had met this person in college. We had done everything after college together, moved in together. That version of myself, present day here now, I held a lot of emotional attachments to. When
Mm.
I would enter into new relationships after that, I always felt an emotional connection to that ex. And I didn't realize what it was about, what it was towards. I always had this like, I can't shake this person feeling. Why I thought
Mhm.
I'd done all the healing, like I thought I'd moved on. Why can't I let go? It wasn't until very recently, and this is like 4 years later since this relationship, it wasn't until recently where I was at like my wits' end in therapy and I was talking with my therapist and I just was like, I need to let this person go. I have zero romantic feelings. I have zero attachments when it comes to like my emotions or energy. Why can't I just cut the cord and let it go? She was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And I started to go deep into the person I was when I was with that person. And I was
Mm.
very different than who I am right now. For the first time ever, was super honest about saying that I was very materialistic. I was
Mm.
very shallow in conversations and people I surrounded myself with. I was not heart centered. I did not lead with my heart or emotions or intentions. I just felt very much like a shallow human, someone who was kind of just like going through the motions and not stepping on
Yeah.
toes and just kind of blending in the background. I lost touch with my family at the time. I wasn't really close with my parents. I wasn't close with my good friends. I was very focused on materialistic things and shallow conversations to just not rock the water. And as I was speaking, my therapist's eyes were kind of like lighting up. And she was like, well, how does that make you feel? And I was like, it makes me feel shameful and guilty. And these are the feelings I want
Mhm.
to let go of. I have so much shame that that was me. And she was like, well, let's hold on a second. That wasn't you. That was a past version of yourself. Let's
Yeah.
invite her into this conversation and see how she feels. And I don't know what it was about my therapist saying that, but her saying, let's invite her in here, something snapped in my head where it was like, oh, I can see this person not as me, but as an extension, as a mask, as something that I'm able to take off and separate from myself and now look at. And it's not me because I don't value those things. I didn't have an emotional attachment to this ex because I still loved them. I didn't have an emotional attachment to this ex because I still desired who I was then. I felt an emotional attachment because I had so much shame connected to who I was then. And I almost felt
Ooh.
guilty moving on from that person because I was like, how could I have valued all of those things, but then be who I am today? Like it didn't make sense in my head. I had a lot of guilt around
Yeah.
it. And that's what kept me
Whoa.
up with this person. When we had this session and we spoke through a lot after that, the minute I hung up with that call and I sat back and I was like, oh my God, I have 1,000 pounds off my shoulder. I no longer feel this attachment. And, that happens right away when you have a good conversation. I was like, let me give myself a
Yeah.
couple weeks, see if those feelings creep back in. And I have felt so different since then. I no longer feel the emotional attachment. I don't feel that energy towards that person or that girl anymore that I was then. But it was so
Mm.
shameful to talk about that negative energy that I lived in because now
Yeah.
it's almost like embarrassing because I'm the total opposite now. And that's what I wanted to invite into the conversation today.
That is so good because it's very abstract to get to the simplicity that is to release the shame. It's to understand that you're holding the shame, right?
Mm,
It's like, why is this part in my life or this point in my life staticky? because there's something that we're holding on to about the version of ourselves, but it's not the idea of being that. It's, again, it's like the shame that comes with us into the evolution of who we are, unless it's a simple like, oh shit, noticing and then releasing. I picture like a video game where like Mario Brothers, and you just go, and then it's like and it goes away, right? It's like so simple, but
Yeah.
it takes us to get out of that shame spiral. And something I thought about when you were speaking was like that version of you was not you. It was present in your field and in the way you moved through life and the way you perceived life because of whatever it was, right? Who cares? And this version of you is like your soul's essence. And the next version of you will be more of your soul's essence. And that's all we're doing here on fucking planet Earth is remembering who we are and getting more comfortable being that more than not.
Mm. Let's talk more about letting go of that shame and that negativity and transitioning, because it sometimes is like an icky feeling when it comes to people you're surrounding yourself with or things you do that no longer feel aligned or attached. I know for me, I hung on until the very last moment to people that were in that walk of my life only because I have a problem with disappointing people and letting things go and moving past it. But I did feel the ickiness of like, I'm still bringing this negative energy into my essence right now, and I don't like it and I don't feel good around it. And I don't know what
Totally.
to do. Like, talk about that with me too, because I know you've
Yeah.
definitely gone through that.
Yeah. It's like navigating with your intellect how to explain that you're evolving with words when really we don't know the words to explain it. We just kind of feel it. And I had a situation come up last weekend. We were out at a country show with our friends, and this is something I've spoken about this on here, but my relationship with alcohol is ever evolving and I'm ever exploring it. And some weekends I'm like totally fine sipping on whiskey and sitting around our kitchen table with our best friends until 2 a.m. And it's interesting because some weekends I feel fine the next day. But it's almost like when I go with, and I know this sounds crazy because it's with alcohol, but when I set a clear intention and when I go with the signals from my body and I listen to them, even if the signal is, yeah, have a glass of whiskey,
Mm.
then I feel fine because I'm not holding shame the next day to going against my body's signals. So this specific signal was like, you don't need another drink. Because we got there and we got these big margaritas because we didn't want to go stand in line again. We wanted just them to last us the whole show, which they did because we weren't going to drink that much. And I had an experience to lead the next day. And our friends were like, like bringing us more drinks because that's how we operate a lot of the times. And I would say like, no, I'm good. But then they would just keep bringing us more drinks. Right. And so I felt almost like guilty to waste these drinks. But then I knew my body was saying no this specific weekend. And so I would continue to like sip on them. And it's so funny that altogether I probably had 1.5 margaritas, but I had the worst headache ever the next day. And yes, I get it, sugar, yada, yada. But also we're speaking about going against the body's signals. And I did that. And I didn't use my voice to
Mm.
say, hey, no. And so therefore my body wasn't being honored. And then I held the shame for not honoring my body. And then that was that. And obviously I'm okay. It's gone. I used my little magic wand to like, let that go away. But this is just a perfect, simple example of how we can hold shame and not know it. it goes back to even saying yes to something you don't want to fucking do. And then you cancel and then you have shame for canceling. But it's like you didn't want to do that in the first place. So we have to learn as a collective to use our voice and to tap into the wisdom of our body. And immediately after getting a simple signal, use our voice. Otherwise, we're going to just accumulate shame for the littlest things.
I like what you said when we connected on this topic earlier in the week. You said something about rooted in old patterns too. So for someone who feels like this shame and they're trying to transition, because it is really hard to step from a space of old or negative stagnant energy to a new space. There's just like a lot of pulling back and forth, and it's hard fucking work. It's really hard. There's moments where it's easier to step back into old patterns that you're rooted in, and it's a lot harder to step into new ones. So for something like drinking, and then just like other things in life, there are people out there who almost don't feel worthy of stepping into like a new energy. And it's almost like because we're so rooted in those old patterns that the shame holds us back there, and it's just easier to stay there. So what do we do for when we like don't feel worthy to step into these new spaces? Because I know that holds a lot of energy for people that see that they want something more, but they just don't feel worthy because they're so rooted in those old patterns.
Well, just like the body holds on to moments and cycles in which we don't feel worthy, and the body continues to move like that because that is physiology. In those moments where we do feel fucking worthy, whether it's for an hour out of the day, it is important to program the somatics of feeling worthy into your body. Why do you feel it? What does it look like? You know, how is your intellect being expressed in this stage that is worthiness? Again, even if it is just 1 hour, we need to remember that. Because then in those moments you don't feel worthy, that might not come back because the body is powerful and your nervous system will say, hey, no, we don't want to feel worthy today. We want to lay in bed and we want to express the idea of unworthiness that we're feeling, that is a lie, but it's that we're feeling, right? And so I think it's important to really gather the moments that we do feel worthy, right? And that's really all I can say, is because worthiness is a big one. It's a big one for everybody, but it's like getting to the root of like, why the fuck do you not feel worthy? Why not? Why can't you start your own business? Who told you that? Oh, fuck, your mom told you that? Fuck, how did that make you feel? Do you believe that? Is that true right now? No, it's not. Let's go. Get out of fucking bed. And I'm one to say it's not that easy, but it is possible.
It's all about, a lot of it is rewiring. I like how you brought the body into it, because I'm obviously deep in my Joe Dispenza work right now. And the big thing he talks about is having power over your body, because at the end of the day, if you are rooted in old patterns, your body knows those old patterns like the back of its hand. So a great example and a really easy one he gives is, you wake up in the morning, you pick up your phone, you look at your emails, immediate emotion of anxiety, upset, unworthiness. Your body gets up and goes to the bathroom, you pee, you take a shower, your body walks to the kitchen, you make a cup of coffee, you're already sinking back into that old cycle. Your body walks you to the car, you sit in the car, you start to get angry emotions knowing you're going into work. You get into work, you do the whole dance. Your body has control over you in those moments. And you may think like, no, I'm doing these things. At the end of the day, like if you are stuck in these patterns, your body has control over how you're feeling. So it's like, again, rerouting this and taking over and saying, no, the moment you stop and interrupt that pattern, like you were just saying, like get up, the moment you interrupt that pattern, we're rewiring, we're creating new neural pathways in our brain. We are now saying to the body and to the mind, body doesn't have power, we have power over this. And I think this is huge when it comes to transitioning from older negative energy to new energy. Tools that have helped me, because I have experienced the full range of unworthiness. I have experienced the full range of sadness, depression, and this has been years. This isn't something that, like, if you listen to the podcast, this may sound something that's like new right now. The newness to me is like the breakthrough. This has been years of trying to rewire and break these patterns. I've done it and I failed so many times. And this is the first time like ever where we're getting a little breakthrough. But the tools that have helped me for sure, a lot of resistance that I've had in the past towards meditation. And we would always joke on the show that like, I would tell you some weeks, like I'm meditating again, being rooted in meditation, being rooted in breath work, visualization, spiritual guidance, whether that's asking for help through therapy or just someone else that's higher power, something else that's higher power. The breathwork aspect, I want you to talk more about this because you are the queen of it. But the breathwork aspect of breaking through these patterns physiologically, emotionally, mentally, the breathwork has changed my life. And I do 5 minutes a day because I'm just starting it. The last couple of months I started it. Really simple, 5 minutes a day, different breathwork techniques I'm trying. I can go up to 10 minutes now, which is huge. The tingles I feel in the body, the energy I feel in my body. Like I used to think breath work was just in through the nose, out through the mouth when you're meditating. The scope of breath work, how big it is, the different ones you can do to feel different things in your body. These are the moments where I'm like on my knees begging, like I'm heading back into this old pattern. How do I stop? 5 minutes of breath work. And it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, what is the best way to break a pattern? I think it's breath work because it's your own body breaking the pattern. It's not reaching out. You know, people say reach out to a friend if you're about to go into an old pattern, but you have to learn how to rely on your damn self. And so breath work is the ultimate embodiment practice because it's in the body. Your breath, your life force is taking you to deeper brain wave states in the mind. And that's where we reprogram. And so what you were saying was more so like, and what I've been talking about recently this past month on my page, and I'll invite you guys into an offer at the end of the episode, but it's mind-body collaboration. When we operate with them separately, that's when shit gets funky. That's when the body's like, hey, you're unworthy. Let's get back in bed. This is where we feel safe. It's when the mind is knocking on the door like, no, you're worthy, right? You are worthy. Let's go. You know how it feels to get the engine running and get it running. Or so it's the other way around. It's when the story is like, I'm unworthy because my mom told me that one time and it really affected me. And that signal from the mind to the body created this program in the body that is like, stay in bed. But what the medicine is, it's breathing in collaboration with noticing the mind, because resistance will come up, unworthiness will come up, and then also dope ideas and like really empowered thoughts will come up, but it will all come up. And so it's more so noticing. You can't choose to notice only the good shit about your mind. Right. You have to notice when there is a story trying to bring you down, and you have to have the power in that moment to say, I'm going to take 5 minutes to breathe into my body and to feel my full capacity. And this isn't spiritual, it's physiological, right? And it can be spiritual, of course, right? But it's like breath of fire that guides you into energy. It's like a second cup of coffee in the day, right? Chandra Bedi, which is unilateral nostril breathing, allows you to be more so in your feminine. If you do have a day to be in bed and you want to be in pleasure, right? And there's all these different techniques that can allow you to feel your power, your body. You're not reaching outside of yourself. And that is why I think there is this undertone of empowerment when people choose to devote to breath and meditation, because they're not necessarily being empowered by anybody else but themselves.
I love your passion behind breath work. It's so inspiring and it's just so crazy. We spoke about this a little bit, but everything finds you at a time it should, because I've been so resistant to practices like this. And I used to listen to you rap about this stuff and I'd be like, oh, I just love how passionate she is, but it wasn't connecting for me. And now it's nuts how it comes full circle. But a lot of that has also come full circle for me with sitting in emotions and not trying to not trying to like wave them away as quickly as I used to. I think I
Mhm.
had a lot of shame, and this is again something that I'm newly learning, but I've had a lot of shame and guilt sitting in past negative experiences, thinking that if I continue to think about them, they would start to manifest, because I do believe like your thoughts become your reality. But I would get a negative thought or a negative thought pattern or something attached to a past experience. And instead of actually feeling it the second it would arise in my head, I was like, no, 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 get out, get out, get out.
Yeah.
I cannot think about that. That's going to manifest again. And it's
Yeah.
funny because doing that so much ended up having repeated patterns of things in my past
Yes.
that I did in a future relationship, because I was so resistant to feeling them, that like shutting them down immediately almost created a pathway for me to repeat the action, because I literally never felt it and
Mm.
let it go. I see a lot of different thoughts on this, especially on like meditation talk and manifestation TikTok, like people saying, don't think negatively because it's going to create your reality. But at the same time, like tools that have helped me is sitting with my feelings, not labeling them like negative or bad or good, not
Yeah.
quickly trying to stop them, but like feeling them and like viscerally feeling them and being like, oh shit, like, yeah, that did happen, but I'm not there anymore. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's the acceptance of what is in your present reality that opens the door for whatever that is to fucking leave. We
Mhm.
cannot suppress. And the more you suppress, the more that these emotions you're not being with, or these thoughts you're not being with, can turn up in other ways. So back problems, the back is where a lot of people hold pain from suppressed thoughts and emotions, the hips, the skin. And I think the collective energy right now is more open to knowing that physical pain means mental pain, physical pain means emotional pain. But I think back in the day, that wasn't really a
No.
thing. And I'm so glad that you're finally kind of seeing that there is no negative and positive. There's just different frequencies, right? And so what frequency are you tapping into? Your negative thought is thousands of people's negative thoughts. But do you want to be a part of that frequency? No, you really fucking don't. So then you need to be with it, and you need to just accept it. And I think it was like maybe a month ago we recorded an episode, and I hope you're okay with me telling this, but I'm like seeing your growth in real time. But
Really
it was an
are.
episode, and it was a really vulnerable episode, and it was so beautiful. At least from my perspective, I was like, wow, that was beautiful. And I remember after the episode you were like, I don't think we can put this out there. It was just really negative, and I don't want to put any. And in my head, I'm like, but it's what it was. Like, but it's how you were fucking feeling.
Mhm.
Like I just don't think that it's true that if we are talking about something ungratifying in life, low vibe in life that happened, things will just keep happening that way. Yes, if we dwell on it, but we also, again, it comes back to the mind body collaboration. The mind is powerful. The mind can also take you somewhere you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So it's like the acceptance of, I was feeling that way. I drank too much. I slept with that human too fast. I said something really rude to my friend that I didn't mean, whatever. Accept it. Oh, that doesn't feel good in my body. It actually fucking sucks to feel that. But I'm going to take a big breath in. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to go apologize, or I'm going to apologize to myself. I'm going to forgive myself. Like, this is where the more abstract work comes in. Forgiveness. It's not easy to forgive. It's not easy to offer up your shit to a higher power, because what the fuck? I want to feel better now.
Mm,
But acceptance, what is happening in the moment. You can't run from it.
yeah, that's huge. That is big. I'm an instant gratification girly. I posted that on our Instagram page the other day. Accepting things and just like lifting them up and being like, this is it. Here it is. I got to let it go. It's hard for me. I have a lot of control issues. Shout out to my mama on that one. And she knows. I so many times, like I witness patterns between like her and my dad or her and our sisters. And I'm like, you're the reason I want to control everything, huh? And she's like, yes,
Yeah.
I am. But that's the hardest part is offering it up and being
Hmm.
with it. I really like and appreciate the example you've given about, a situation with a friend or something like that. Cause people listen to this. And for me, it always helps when I'm listening to podcasts or teachers and they give a concrete example of how you do that then. Cause it's so easy to say, sit in your feelings, let
Mm.
it go. But like walking through it is so helpful. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
patterns recently too. I don't know if it's just my TikTok algorithm, but I've seen a lot of younger women leaving their hometowns, starting like a new life, and then feeling shame and guilt for it years, months, whatever it is later.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's an artist on TikTok, Noah Khan, I think his name is, and he has a song about packing up, leaving your hometown. But like your family at home still loves you. They're so proud of you, whatever it is. And I've seen this trend and it hits home for me because I left right
Yeah.
after college and I always have shame and guilt around it. I've had family members pass away and I have been unable to attend their funerals because of not being in the same city, not being in the same state,
Yeah.
not having the ability to pick up and just go like I used to be able to. I know you
Hmm.
talked about this a little bit, but
Oh yeah.
I want to know like your perspective too, because you're still kind of, well, you're within driving distance of your family, right?
Yeah, I am. We don't like often go though,
Yeah.
And yeah, I left after I graduated high school. I only went a couple hours away, but I have always been the one that was moving away or wasn't able to come, whether that was subconscious or not, wasn't able to come for the birthday party or come for the family reunion. And that was because I chose not to, right? And I hold subconscious shame and conscious shame, but like my mom's birthday was this week, and although they didn't do anything crazy, my brother and my dad and her still all went to dinner, and that was like really awesome to see. And they are proud of me and they know me, like they know me, right? And so they probably could have called that I would be this way since I was a little girl,
Yeah.
but I have to also, just like the mind and the body has to collaborate, I also have to accept in this adult form that people are getting older, and so there are moments I have to prioritize more now than maybe I would have in my early 20s, which my husband and I do. But I still don't prioritize every single holiday, every single birthday, every single event, because, and we've spoke about this before, but my priority is my life and my family with my husband. And so again, it's like the shame is there, but it's more so like, okay, let me call my mom and have an hour long conversation with her on her birthday and just like enjoy the time that I can spend with her. And this is something I'm still working through. This is a fully unintegrated thought that I'm having right now, but it's like, it is hard. It is hard, but I'm also not going to go live in Tucson right now
Yeah.
ever, actually. So, and it was fun having that conversation with my mom. Something just came up really quick. I just found out during this conversation with my mom that she had me and my brother without any meds any meds. She had didn't even go into it planning to have any meds, and I like kind of knew that, but I was like, whoa, mom, really? And the night I was born, my poor 5-year-old brother's Labrador died. I just like, I knew something kind of happened with the dog. And then she kind of told me the whole story. And I was like, whoa, that's so intense for my brother. Off topic, but it was
Yeah.
fun talking to her.
Like you've come back from this dog, like your past life is intertwined with this dog.
And my brother, my whole life has been my protector. Like we never really ever fought
Yeah.
ever. Like he's always
Yeah.
been my protector, like another parent to me. And I've loved it. And so yeah, I'm like, wow, there's something there that I don't know what it is yet, but that has to do with our relationship.
Totally. On the topic of family too, one feeling of guilt and shame, I think, can come with, especially if you're leaving like a small hometown or if you're leaving
Yeah.
a family. I know a lot of my girlfriends have family members that have big dreams and never pursued them. And you have a lot of like family members
Mm,
that live through you and they put this pressure on you that like, I'm living through you, you're living my dream. Transitioning from
yeah.
like old patterns into new patterns, it brings up that question of like, who am I to be out here living my life, experiencing my dream
Yeah.
when they're still there? And I feel
Yeah.
that immensely. I would love to do an episode in the future on inner child work and like mothering
Yeah.
as a child because I felt very connected to raising and mothering my younger sister. We can get into that another episode, but I have a tendency now to want to bring everybody with me in my success and to bring everybody with
Mm,
me when I'm happy and to only share joyful moments with the people around me because I want to see them joyful too. It's like I get stuck in these patterns of bringing things from my past, trying to bring it to my future because I know my future and right now is better. So like tell me about that too with family because I know that's a big thing is when you're leaving someone behind, there's so much
mhm.
guilt when you feel like when you left things got better maybe.
Totally. What I think is a really good thing to keep in mind is that the healing we're doing or the moves we're making or the patterns we're breaking within our family system are healing our family. So they might not feel it, they might not know it, they may not even have the mental capacity to understand it. But something I've had to hold is like, I'm investing in my healing because it's healing my family. An affirmation I'm working with right now is I have healed generations of trauma, and it's within this yoga nidra meditation. If you guys want more information on that, I will definitely give it to you, and we can speak more about it. But you sit with an affirmation throughout the whole meditation, and why that is so important to me is because I have felt so sad that I still see my dad like depressed sometimes, or I have felt very sad that like, you know, cousins or family members are still kind of in their same cycles, whether that's with substance abuse or unworthiness abuse, right? Just allowing the idea that you are unworthy to abuse you and hinder you from taking any steps further in life. That's like big. My um I'm I'm fourth generation Mexican American from Tucson, and a lot of my family still lives there. And being Mexican American in Tucson from far that long ago is almost like you should be lucky to be here. And it's crazy because it's almost like seeing the pattern in real time that they all feel still so lucky to be there. And I'm like, it's 2023. Like, okay, cool. Our great 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 grandma came here. That's awesome. Cool. We're still like lucky to be in America. No, we are Mexican American. Like, but it's like it's this generational
Yeah.
cage that they're in. And so I'm just really passionate about healing that in some way. But the only way I can do it is to do it on my own because they won't fucking understand what I'm saying. And that's okay. Like, you know, it's like you don't have to express everything that you're doing to the people that you love,
Mm.
but maybe perhaps they will see and be inspired. Maybe, right? Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a big point of this whole conversation that you just made, and I think this is like a great cherry on top is you don't have to inform everybody of where you're coming from to where you're going. That is something that has been huge for me because I did feel so much shame and guilt to the past version that I was attached to for almost 6 years. And a lot of people knew me through that are still in my life now. And a lot of people that didn't know me or know me now have questions about, like, I always felt the need to explain and
Mm,
like, I'm not like this person anymore. And that's where I was getting emotionally stuck to that past because I was just so wrapped up in trying to explain and to bring people with me and to like have them evolve too. And I think letting go of all of that and just focusing on my own healing and focusing on the work that I can do
yeah.
to come out of that old pattern into this new one has been huge. And that's what I encourage our listeners for this week is it is so easy to want to explain everything to everyone and
Yeah.
look good and to make yourself feel okay, because it's okay that I'm going to look better after I explain this, or I'm not this person.
Totally.
Let it go. Focus on yourself. We as humans are not supposed to have this much access to each other. And I think we get lost
Right.
in media and we feel like we have to prove something. But that's like a lesson I want our listeners to learn from this week and to take a little bit from this episode is stop trying to bring those things with you from the past. Stop trying to prove something. When you're transitioning, like let this be your own journey. Find the things that work for you. Of course, I mentioned meditation, breath work, visualization, sitting in those emotions. I also mentioned like spiritual guidance or asking for help with someone that you trust with this. Don't just be throwing all of the information out to close friends, but really making this process intimate and personal to you, because that is what's changed everything for me.
Yeah, that's it. That's the point. And it's like, hey, I'm gonna evolve, but I just need to send an email first to everybody I've ever fucking known so they know that this is why I'm evolving, right? It's like it always goes back to the Mean Girls scene where she's like, whatever. I have really bad breath in the morning because they're all like talking shit about how they look. It's like, I'm gonna go brush my teeth because I have really bad breath in the morning. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
bitch, go brush your teeth. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I think that the message here is notice where you are coming down to a lower frequency to make other people feel comfortable or to make yourself feel more comfortable with the transformation that's actually happening, because all you're doing is blocking the transformation as you try to explain why you're transforming. And notice where you might be holding shame, even if it's like when you were speaking about your ex-partner, I was thinking about like, I don't hold shame for the young Lexi that dated some like really ridiculous people, but that understanding that wasn't me. And this is more so me. The me with my husband is me, right? And so it's almost like the question, y'all, is where are you holding shame around a version of you that actually wasn't you? It was the perspective that you had in that moment based off of the energy.
Boom. Mic drop. Boom. So good. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We are back next week talking sex again.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We have such a rad guest and y'all are gonna love it. I also wanted to share that I'm hosting a 2-week meditation and breathwork boot camp, and it starts tomorrow. So you're listening to this on Sunday. It starts tomorrow. We will put the link to sign up in the show notes. If you are interested, you can use code HOTMESS for a discount on enrollment. Yeah, and I would love to have you. We're actually going to meet every fucking day for 2 weeks straight. You'll have weekends off to meditate and breathe. Sessions will be very accessible. They're going to be like 30 minutes max. And I'm not going to be teaching. We're just going to be breathing and meditating. So all the lessons you will learn will be from whatever comes up in your own body.
Y'all take advantage. This is something I needed for so many times in my healing journey. Breathwork and meditation, if you don't know where to start, this is the perfect opportunity. So jump in on that with Lex. I might have to jump in on that. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. But thank you guys again for hanging out with us. It's been another lovely conversation. A couple of reminders. We have a Facebook group. That's our community we go to, completely free access to the Facebook group. If you want to join that group, link is always in the show notes. Facebook group has information in there for all the community meetups we do that are completely free once a month. Last community meetup was so awesome. So join that Facebook group, join our community, follow us on social media. Lexi and I have our own pages. We have our Instagram for the podcast as well. And don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave a comment on the episode. We want to craft these conversations around what you guys want to hear. So let us know, and we will see you next Sunday.
Peace out.